Hello, and welcome to the show Goldsquadrongays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays break down each episode of their favorite Star Wars TV shows while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
And I'm Charles Rogers, and welcome to a segment that we like to call It's Too Fucking Long for the News section of the show, but too fucking short for an actual episode. We're workshopping the name.
Right.
We're workshopping the name.
I like it.
No, welcome to our first, I believe this is our first, Bradley, bonus episode. Where...
Yeah, I think so. I consider the episode zeros and the recaps technically are bonus episodes. At least that's the way I categorize them on Apple Podcasts. But
right. This is the first one that's going to come out not on a Monday.
Exactly. This is the first true bonus episode we have where we're covering a random thing that we want to cover.
If you haven't figured it out by now, what's going on is that there are some Star Wars stuff that's coming out as things start ramping up again, where things are going to be a little too meaty for the opening section of the main Monday show, but also a little too short to be full episodes on their own. So we wanted to take a little bit of time to sit down and talk about some of these things. Maybe not in the full depth that they deserve, but definitely more than 5 or 10 minutes before we start talking about another TV episode. Now, I do want to acknowledge before we jump into it, we did mention on a previous episode and up until recently, part of the reason this Visions one is taking so damn long to get out. We were hoping to have a guest on. We were trying to make scheduling conflicts with her work. Unfortunately, she did have a last minute personal issue came up that just made it not viable for her to be on. So that is why we referenced a guest and we don't currently have one. If you are in a position to call the people in your life that are close to you and tell them that you love them, I would recommend doing that if you haven't recently, if that's something that's healthy for you to be able to do.
I agree.
And on that note, let's dive into talking about Visions.
Absolutely. Well, I don't have a really fancy
you don't want to recap
scripted
Visions?
I don't have a fancy scripted thing for Visions, but yeah, I guess we could just talk about what it is first of all.
Yeah, so Visions is a collection of anime short films. They pronounce it anime in some of the behind the scenes features, which I find just fucking hilarious. But it's a series of short films that dropped on Disney Plus a couple of weeks ago. Bradley and I have both watched them, obviously. I have also watched the behind the scenes featurettes. They were a lot of fucking fun, I'll tell you that.
Oh, for sure. I was thinking this is probably the most fun Star Wars has felt in a long time.
I've been listening because I was avoiding for a long time listening to other people's coverage on Visions. And then as the days wore on where we hadn't put this episode out yet, I was like, okay, fine, I'll go listen to some other opinions on it because I'm being inundated with them. And one of the common threads that people have been saying that I agree with is that this series did such a good job of capturing the fun, energetic, creative spirit at the heart of the Star Wars franchise in a way that very few things have so directly captured.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree because there were some, I was watching some of them and I was like, oh, that was cute, or oh, that was a fun thing. And then other ones I was kind of like, oh, that really wasn't for me, but I see where people would really enjoy that.
Yeah, I had the benefit of, I watched them with someone. So my boyfriend and I watched them together. He is a big anime fan, but he barely knows anything about Star Wars. And I co-host a Star Wars podcast, and I know barely anything about anime. Everything I've learned about it, I don't want to say everything I've learned against my will, but it took some convincing. Right. But we actually watched it together. So it was interesting to get his perspective because he absolutely fucking loved it. He loved it. He couldn't get it. He was talking about it for days afterwards.
Wow.
And I think it's because it captured that fun spirit so well that he was super getting into it.
Yeah, and I want to preface too, like going into watching Visions, when it was first announced, I just kind of rolled my eyes. Like
You were mad on it.
yeah, I literally here's my thing. I actually can't stand anime. I really hate it. I think it's just garbage most of the time. But there are the few standouts, obviously, of certain shows that exist in the ether that I actually like. Now, to be fair, all these anime fans are going to get really mad at me. A lot of them are American cartoons that are American anime cartoons. So they don't
that are doing the style
right. So they don't really count. But
you can just say Avatar: The Last Airbender, Bradley.
Okay.
Just say Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah,
we all know that you're talking about that show.
So things like that, like Avatar, or like, honestly, I don't watch it for the plot or anything, but sometimes I watch it just because I like Pokemon. But like, I watch the Pokemon anime sometimes, and that is, I mean, I would argue that it's not really Japanese anime anymore. Like, maybe the first like iteration of the show was, but after like a while it becomes like an American cartoon.
So my best friend and co-writer, he actually super into anime. So he actually got me to watch a lot of it in college. And I'll go through like blips to where there'll be like a month-long period where we'll be like, I'll watch 2 or 3 shows that I find interesting, and I'll wander off to do something else.
So one of the things I was going to mention is that I was talking about like Americanized anime versus like the traditional Japanese anime. I like to think of like there's different types of styles to like anime, which is great because this show has a bunch of different styles, but like I enjoy certain kinds.
And this show is
right. I enjoy certain kinds and I hate other kinds. So like one example that I'll give you is like when I think of anime, I think of the traditional style, which is that Sailor Moon-esque Naruto style. You know what I mean? Like the big eyes and it's super dramatic and whatever. That's what I think of.
As a homosexual man, I assume that you've seen Sailor Moon at least once.
I've seen.
I have recently watched several episodes of it. Maybe I'll go pick that up. Maybe I'll go pick that series up again after I finish The Owl House. I'm currently watching The Owl House.
Oh. But one thing I don't like, and I absolutely hate in anime, is not even the anime itself. It's the style of this anime. And funny enough, this actually was not the episode that I hated, but the 3D anime style that Netflix likes to use a lot.
Okay.
Which is what the Duel utilizes. It's that weird CGI anime, and I think all the Godzilla shows on Netflix are in that style. They're
I actually know a little about this. There's been like a push in the past couple of years to do 3D anime in 3D. Most of it has gone very badly.
Gotcha.
In particular, one that was cited to me by people more knowledgeable about this than me. I haven't seen it myself, but apparently there was a Berserk remake that came out a few years ago that was just fucking atrocious and terrible. So they haven't quite figured out how to do 3D animation. I think the interesting thing with the Duel is how they like stylized the line work in it. So it kind of hid maybe the problems with the 3D animation. Like I really liked the Duel, and I think part of the reason I liked it was because it was so stylized the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
It hit a lot of the issues that I would have, like the jerkiness of the animation.
Right, and that's what I hate about the 3D style anime is that they do have it has this weird jerky quality to it, which makes no sense. Like I'm like, it's a computer animated animation, whatever. You can make it as smooth as you want. So the sheer fact that they're doing the jerkiness on purpose in other shows, not in the Duel. I think in the Duel it works because it's stylized. In other shows, it just doesn't look like the movements don't look real. They don't look like the thing is there. The thing is moving, if that makes sense.
I'll say this as sort of an example, and then we'll move on. But an example from a different genre is it's really impressive if you play a lot of indie games, which I do.
Mhm.
If you play a lot of indie games, you can tell when someone knows their medium that they're working in well enough to be able to compensate for the limitations of the medium that they're using. So I know a solo developer, and one of the games that he makes, one of the best ones he makes tend to be static. So he doesn't have to do any 3D animation, and he builds it around that. So I feel like the Duel did something sort of similar where they wanted to do the 3D animation, but they knew that it was going to look kind of weird and choppy. So they were like, well, let's Kurosawa it up and make it like a black and white film. And I feel like that was really to its benefit. That is as good a segue as any, since we are keeping it shorter. We're not going to go on for 2.5 hours today. Let's just start with Bradley. What was your favorite one?
Ooh, okay. So I actually, the way I look at it is when I was watching this, I kind of had a fuck, marry, kill kind of situation with the episodes.
I had the same situation. Oh my God. Let's see where you're going with this.
Okay. So when I say fuck an episode, I mean like it was weird and crazy and I just really enjoyed it. Like it wasn't my favorite, but I just enjoyed it the most. So I'll say for my fuck episode, I think my fuck episode was the twins. I think I enjoyed just the weirdness of it. It pretty much had everything that people hate about Star Wars in it. And I think that's why I liked it the most.
I'm sitting there going like, you're chopping a Star Destroyer in half, going at light speed.
It's perfect.
With a giant Voltron sword lightsaber.
Exactly.
This is like, I was looking at it, I was like, this literally is like something 8-year-old me would have come up with his Legos.
100%. And even the style, it's very childlike. Like it's very like fun.
Oh yeah.
Like cutesy looking almost. Like I think actually it has one of the better animation styles out of all the other ones. Because I think the moments where they do that weird dramatic, like weird shit, that's when the episode like shines the most because like they get these weird perspectives and these weird angles and they do like these really cool shots. And I don't know, I just thought it was the most fun episode. So that's why I call it my fuck episode, because like it was good one time, like, and I was like really enjoying it, but I don't want to see a whole series on it. Like, you know, it's like a cute little once in a while kind of thing.
Yeah, and I'll say this, you know, right up front before we get too much further. There's been a lot of discussion on a lot of other shows that I've listened to where they're talking about which ones do we want full series, which one do we want to be short films and stay isolated as they are. I'm in the camp that I like most of them just as the short films. Mm-hmm. I don't think there were very few of them, like The Ninth Jedi, maybe La Pinocho, I could see functioning as a good pilot episode for something. Definitely The Ninth Jedi. But the rest of them, I was just like, this is a very good piece of cinema that has a beginning and it ends at an appropriate place. And not all of them are going to tie off neatly. But if you've had to watch as many short films as film students have, and I used to be in the film program before Bradley knew where I was adjacent to the film program, at least I had to watch a fuckload of those things. Like they're not all going to end neatly.
Right.
And that's fine. But I'm definitely, The Twins was one that I was like, this is just a really great, like, it ends on a hopeful note. It's not quite tied everything up, but that wasn't its purpose. Its purpose was to have fun.
And it does.
Ending on that sense of hope the way it does is really indicative to the franchise as a whole.
My Mary episode, which I would say that this means that this was my favorite out of all of the episodes because I would watch it again. I'm gonna have to go with The Ninth Jedi.
Really?
Yes.
Jedi Knight Ethan.
I thought The Ninth Jedi was so good because I felt like I was watching a series. Like I felt like I was watching a cartoon series. Like I didn't feel like I was watching Love, Sex, and Robots or Love, Death, and Robots or whatever. Like, which is what most of this show is. It's just one-offs, you know.
Right.
The Ninth Jedi felt like I was watching a cartoon show that I would want to continue watching. And I thought the voice acting in it was really good because there's two people in there that are well known. And
Educate me on who those are, because
okay.
I watched this in Japanese.
Oh,
because I was with I was again with my
you
boyfriend.
Went the real way to
together.
Watch this.
We went the real way together at his insistence, which is side tangent, pain in the ass to do.
Yeah.
Pain in the ass to do on Disney Plus, because you have to go in, you have to change the language track to Japanese.
Right.
Then you have to go in and put on the English subtitles. And then the subtitles are on that black bar at the bottom of the screen. Like it, yes. But educate us on who is in the voice cast in the Ninth Jedi that you liked, because I didn't watch it in that track yet.
The English track of the voice cast. So the main girl, she's voiced by Kimiko Glenn. She was in Orange is the New Black for a little bit, and then she was also in a couple other movies, but she does a lot of voice acting. Most people would know her for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. She did Penny Parker, who is the little Asian girl who is in the giant robot, spider robot. So that's just what she's known for. But she's also been in other TV shows and stuff, but she's really cute little Asian girl. She's I love her. She's really great. But then the male character in the show, I forget his name is what is his name? Ethan, I think. It's
Ethan. We have Ethan and Dan over the course of this series.
Okay, so Ethan, you'll like this one. Ethan is played by Masioka. Oh God, I hope I'm saying that name. He's an actor. He starred in the NBC hit television series Heroes as Hiro Nakamura.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
So that was a fun little it was like, oh, I loved Heroes and I loved Hiro in Heroes. So it was like he was the male the main boy. And then the I believe his name is Lazima.
That might be the Sabersmith.
Lazima. Oh, her dad. Duh. I'm so stupid. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So Lazima is
true and accurate. Yes.
So yes, Kimiko Glenn's dad in the series is voiced by Simu Liu.
This is the one Simu Liu is in?
Yes.
Okay.
So he plays the Sabersmith in The Ninth Jedi. So like I said, they have this like stacked cast, right? In this one episode alone, I was thinking like, okay, this is getting like really good. Like they're really putting a lot of effort in this one. And like you said before, people online have said that this one could in fact be a full-on television show. And I genuinely feel that.
The thing I loved about The Ninth Jedi, one was the concept of the kyber crystals changing color depending on who wields them.
Oh, I love that.
Which goes all the way back to original drafts for Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's something I didn't know. That's something that I learned. But the way it's implemented, it's not just like a trivia fact. It's implemented to a great purpose in the short.
Right.
To where it's an element of their internal universe that they've created that serves not one, not two, but three major narrative purposes. It's the source of our twist, which, by the way, I actively screamed when that happened. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
I love it.
Two, it shows the one guy's, so it like turns from red to purple.
Yes.
As he's inching back towards the light. They also did this in the Twins, where the guy's lightsaber starts out red and then it becomes purple and then it's blue, or like rainbow by the end of it.
Yeah.
But in The Ninth Jedi, it literally illustrates him coming back
Right. I
And
thought that
then
was probably the coolest thing.
the girl's lightsaber like turns Luke Skywalker blue or green
Green. Yeah.
when the use of that, like, this is the thing I like about these shorts. Everything is in there for a purpose. There's
Right.
no extraneous. We don't have a scene where Kira turns to the camera to explain to us that the takedown she used was Terrace Kasi.
Right.
Like, we don't have moments like that. Everything is in there for a purpose, and I dig that a lot.
So like I like how each of the colors still do that representation of like the level of Jedi you are, kind of like. So with the Ethan character, his is blue because he's kind of not a youngling, but he's like a up and come. He's like a newer kind of Jedi, right? Or a younger
Right.
kind of Jedi. And then you have the guy who was pretending to be a Sith, who his lightsaber turns purple. He's kind of like,
Well,
I
he
don't,
was a Sith, and then he kind of moved back. So it started as red,
right,
and then it kind of moved to purple.
right. But I feel like that was more of him. Like he was he was around those Sith acolytes so long that he was starting to act like that. He was starting to like almost absorb their negative energy. And so I think that's why his was red first. And then when he goes to the purple, it kind of, you're like, wait, maybe he's more of like a like that Mace Windu kind of character where it's more logical thinking, not like emotional thinking. So I don't know. I don't know if that's what purple means, but you know what I mean? Like it's like kind of a different side of masterism.
Yeah, uh, they have meanings and things. It's always bothered me when they ascribed meanings to the colors, but
in this case, it
used
means
really
yeah.
effectively. It's used super effectively over the course of the short.
Last thought is when her lightsaber turns green, what I took that as is someone who has more like raw potential, like instead of like true, like here's how you need to be a Jedi, like kind of like in the sequel saga, like kind of the yellow is kind of that representation with Rey, like that yellow lightsaber is kind of like that. Here, I think the green is kind of more like you can be really skilled without having a lot of training because you kind of more want it more. Like she kind of wants to be a Jedi. She wants to like, be that thing. And I don't know. I just really like that.
So we're going to put a pin in your kill for now. We're going to come back to that one.
Okay. We'll do that later.
We're going to put a pin because I know which one you're going to talk about.
Okay.
But before I want to do, because I broke it along similar lines to you. So when I talk about my quote unquote favorite Star Wars movies, I actually have 3 that I consider my favorite movies. So I have the one that I think is the best, the one that is my personal favorite and resonates with me the most, the one that resonates with me the most, rather, and the one that has occupied the most of my brain.
Okay. Well, give me
the one that has occupied the most of my brain. I'll just say is the twins, because we already talked about that. I've literally not stopped thinking about the twins since I watched it. I think about the lightsaber holder maneuver without hyperbole literally once a day.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about the way you can read the twins too. And this is just a personal thing. Somebody pointed this out. And ever since I saw it online, I was like, oh, I'm definitely headcanon this now. So they're the same cell, right? We see in the twins, they're the same cell, and the cell splits apart. So they have to be genetically identical to each other.
Right.
But there's a boy and a girl. So one of the two has to be trans.
Oh, interesting.
That was an interpretation of it, a reading of it that I saw, that I was like, I've decided this is my reading of it now.
Oh, I guess that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because if the cell is split in two and it's identical, then they're identical twins. They're not fraternal twins.
They're identical twins. One of the two has to be trans in order for it to be a boy and a girl.
Well, in my headcanon, it is the girl because she is the coolest character in that episode. So I'm gonna go with her.
See, I favor the boy.
Interesting.
But it's personal head. That's just a really cool way of interpreting it and reading it that maybe wasn't intended by the creators, but definitely is a cool way to read it.
Okay, here, if you want to, if I'm really gonna blow your mind here, okay?
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you that the boy is actually the trans one because, right, their whole purpose when they were created was to be Sith whatever, and
Right.
then he changes his viewpoint. What he knows that deep inside he's
Or
not evil,
or
he's
he
not an evil person, and so he knows that deep inside he's not himself, and so he changes himself on the outside to be a good person. That's him. That's a euphemism for being trans. There you go.
and literally outwardly manifesting
Right.
that he was a good person and
Yeah.
outwardly manifesting that other. That is a really cool read of that.
There you
That is
go.
a really cool read of that.
And you could even
Man,
take it a step further and say that like the suits that they have to wear is like keeping them, like holding them back. Like the whole reason why they had to wear their little suits or whatever was to channel the power, but like he didn't want to wear
yeah,
the
like
suit.
they're all keeping. And here's the thing: when he rejects the suit, right? When he
Yeah.
rejects the conformity that the Sith acolytes want to, the box that they want to force them into, when he rejects that, he becomes more powerful.
Yep.
He wins and escapes and does the thing. That is a really cool reading of this. It is literally the twins has occupied my brain.
There you go.
But the one that resonated with me the most,
Okay.
the one that like deeply touched me and I had to go stare at the wall for a minute, was The Village Bride.
Ooh, okay.
For two reasons. There's a shallow reason and a deeper reason. The shallow reason is because of all the shorts, it's the one that slots the most easily into canon. And as a canon junkie, it was the one that was the most rewarding for me to watch and go, yes, I can tell you exactly when this is happening.
Ooh, okay.
And I watched the behind the scenes feature, and from what I gathered of the behind the scenes feature, it's been a couple of days since I watched it. I believe that was the creator's intention, was to be like a story that could have taken place in this universe. So some creators, like you can kind of watch it and you can see which creators were more interested in making it kind of work in the canon and which ones were like, we're going to take these ideas and we're going to do something different with them. So the shallow reason is just as a canon junkie. The other shallow reason part 2 is my girl's really out here with a fucking yellow lightsaber katana in heels.
In high heels.
High heels pulling this Jedi shit. And I'm like, I would die for you.
Well, what I like to
actively die for you.
I like how it's like a twist on the like the force running thing. Like instead of being like a cheesy like they can run really fast because the force. No, she literally has super fast high heel boots on. That's why she runs super fucking fast. Like I love that. I just think it's so funny.
I'm actually watching an anime now where part of their shtick is they fly with these boots, but they have magic and they like channel the magic through the boots. So I almost wonder if that's like the same thing, if the shoes like help her channel the force to run really fast. I don't know. I just think about like the girl boss of it all and just how much of an icon she is.
You like video games. It reminded me a lot of the Bayonetta character. I don't know if you played that game or not, but she's in Smash, so that's the only reason why I know who she is.
I am familiar with Bayonetta.
Okay, well, she has high heel shoes on that have guns in them, so she literally like can kick and then they like fires the gun somehow. But that's what it reminded me of. Like she has these high tech boots that can do different things. So
I think for me though, the deep reason that The Village Bride resonated with me the most is it's probably the most spiritual of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Where they spend a lot of time, especially in the beginning, they spend a lot of time, one, connecting with the Force, which they call like Magina, I think. Magina in the context of the episode. But it's also like super philosophical. Like I just read Edge of Balance, which is the High Republic manga. And the Edge of Balance spends a lot of time talking about philosophy. I promise it's good. That does not do a good job of selling it, but I promise it's good. But a lot of that book, they spend a lot of time talking just philosophy and the philosophy of being a Jedi and what that means and how one connects to the Force. And I felt that a lot with The Village Bride, with its exploration of the more spiritual aspects of it. Also, the music in The Village Bride, fucking incredible. Animation, absolutely breathtaking. Character designs, so fucking fun. The dude with the bucket on his head, I loved him. He was fantastic. Samuel Kim, who is a YouTube music composer, has actually done a cover of The Village Bride, the song from that, one of the songs. It's so fucking good. He released a 1-hour version and I have listened to it so much.
I was gonna say this episode reminded me the most of Studio Ghibli movies. I don't know why. I just felt like the animation style was the closest, and then just like the like you said, the spiritualness, it very much the Japanese influence, especially the guy with the bucket on his head or whatever that character was.
The creators talked about like wanting to draw inspiration from the mountains of Japan, and I really felt that in The Village Bride. I felt a deep love for nature, the force that connects everything through it, like this bond with nature. And you've got the classic story of the people who are in tune with nature, and then the bandits who are using these droids, which are really fucking funny in Japanese, side note. But it definitely, like, to me, it resonated with me the most, I think, for that reason. And real fast, I will say that the one I thought was the best was The Duel. And I'm very excited to read Ronin when it comes out. But we won't opine on The Duel too much because we already kind of touched on that.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I know. I agree. I thought it was the best. Honestly, I thought The Duel itself was the best story, like in terms of just like a short story. Like it was the best kind of setup, middle, and kind of thing.
Such a shame that you don't know how to read.
I know. But anyway.
It's absolutely. I'll just tell you whether or not Ronin is good.
Okay, good. Deal.
After I read it.
After you read it, and then I'll be like, great.
After I read it. I'm this close because so Bradley and I do not just talk on these podcasts. We talk a lot outside of them, and I've been trying to convince him to read Dark Disciple, and I just listened to Dooku Jedi Lost. And I've been trying to talk him into that because like a solid third of the audio drama is Asajj Ventress. But Ronin, from what I hear about it, may be a close third in things that I may try to bully Bradley into reading if what I've heard about it is true. We'll see. And probably by the time this episode comes out, well, probably shortly after this episode comes out is when I'll get it. So let's pull the pin out of the kill and talk about the one that you didn't like so much.
Okay, so let me preface with, it's not that I didn't love it, right? I actually enjoy all of them. I think they're all really good. The one I enjoyed the least, and the reason why I enjoyed it the least, is because I absolutely, for 100% sure, hate the character design of one of the characters. I thought I could get over it because when it was first announced, I thought, that's going to be iffy. And then when I watched it, it bothered me so much the whole entire time watching it that I could not focus on the episode.
Do you want to enlighten us on which character design it was? Do you want to maybe, while we lend you an ear?
Yes. So the episode was Lop and Ocho, the fucking bunny girl episode. Yeah, I just can't. I'm sorry. The whole waifu culture thing is so annoying to me.
Let's talk about the bunny girl.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about the bunny girl, right? I have watched the behind the scenes documentary. Bradley, have you heard of a lepus carnivorous?
That sounds fake, but sure, no, I have not.
It is fake. But it is fake in the context of it is a fictional species. The lepus carnivorous, more commonly known as the Lepi, are a race of, I am not making this up, green bunny people that were in the Star Wars Legends continuity.
I know that.
The Marvel Comics had a character named Jackson.
Yes.
So actually, when it's not that they pulled a bunny out of thin air.
No,
the guy
I understand
actually
that, yeah.
researched it and was like, oh, there's this race of bunny people. I'll use a bunny. Also, fun fact, I discovered while I was double checking this so that I could be smug to Bradley about it on the show, the Lepi are actually canon.
Interesting.
I did not realize this. Yeah. I actually
Where?
They've been in a few things. They were in flashbacks in Dooku Jedi Lost. They were in a couple episodes of Forces of Destiny. They've been in a couple of the Star Wars Adventures comics where Jackson has been recanonized. They're in the Force Awakens adaptation, the comic adaptation by Chuck Wendig. They are in several issues of Ghosts of Vader's Castle. They were in flashbacks in the Jedi Temple Challenge. And relevant to me, they're going to be in the first issue of the High Republic Trail of Shadows, the Jedi Noir comic. I thought they were in like one thing.
Oh, well.
And no, they've been mentioned in a couple of different things.
So I did know about Jackson, the Green Rabbit, because they made a Black Series figure of him this year. So I knew about, because I look at the Black Series and I follow that. They did a run of comic book Black Series this year, like a special. They were like special edition ones, and one of them is Jax the Rabbit. Yeah. So that's why I knew about the rabbits, but there is just something about making it a sexualized female rabbit that I can't fucking stand.
See, I didn't think it was terrifically sexualized, but I also wasn't really paying attention to like what the rabbit was wearing.
Gotcha. I mean, it's not that it was overtly sexualized. I think it's just inherently sexualized because it's
the idea of you. It feels like, if I'm understanding what you're saying, it feels like it was partially designed with this like waifu culture in mind, and exactly. That influence is there. And it's not necessarily that she's designed to be one, but you can tell the influence is there consciously or unconsciously, and that made you uncomfortable. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, like, so if you look up, I know you can look up like different sketches and like her character design and stuff like that. If you look at why is she wearing booty shorts? Why does she, you know what I mean? Like, why does she have that, like those really feminine hips, like, and really big eyes? I just, it just felt like they were purposefully doing that. And it makes me uncomfortable that they did that, because I feel like it could have been a really good story. I could have paid attention more if it didn't have that distraction in there.
Yeah, I can definitely see like seeing that angle on it. So that's definitely a valid concern to have
because I'll tell you, if you change the character and you just make her a regular girl, and yes, sure, she can still have the booty shorts and the big eyes and whatever, but like if you don't make her an animal, I'm not giving the furries what they want. And so I'm fine with that, because I think that's the problem that we're running into right now.
It's all of this that you've said about being uncomfortable with the sexualization, and also the fact that it is a rabbit.
Right.
Okay. I see what is happening here. I see what is happening here. Yeah, and like I said, it's definitely a valid concern to have. I didn't really notice it as much. I was more focusing on the lady fucking biting a hole in her thumb and using it to draw like bloody makeup on herself. So I might not have noticed that this stuff, but yeah, I can definitely see. I do watch anime sometimes, and when something pops up that's a little more sexualized than maybe it should be,
right?
And I'm like, I know this is kind of in here. It's either in here to appeal to someone, or it's playing off tropes that were designed to appeal to someone.
Right.
That I'm like,
So, I mean, and that's all just to say, this is just my personal opinion, guys. Like, doesn't mean that it was not a good story, because it actually was a very good story. And I actually thought that the episode itself, in terms of just the story, and the style of the animation and all that stuff was actually very good. Like I have to give them that, because like you said, that one character, the sister character, who ends up being like a grand admiral or something by the end, like I was like,
She's
I
like
like
an
this
ISB
character.
agent or something by
Oh,
the
that's
end
right.
of
She
it.
wears like the same outfit
Krennic.
director Krennic wears in
Krennic
Rogue One.
wears.
Yeah, I fucking love that. I thought that was, I mean, she looked great. And then the fact that they have that little duel at the end together, and she has, I mean, like that was so much fun. So there are things that I liked about the episode. It's just that character, I just can't get past it.
That's actually a good segue into mine that I didn't love,
Okay.
or I didn't love as much as the others. For one thing that I really couldn't get over at the time was Akikiri. I think it's Akikiri.
Yeah, the
which
last
is the
one.
final one that
Yeah.
closes it out. So we had marathoned all of them. We had watched them all in a row. And Akikiri is this beautiful, like, hidden fortress reference that's like a retelling of the themes that are in the prequels, particularly in Revenge of the Sith, and mirrors Anakin's journey. But it's so weird that it's last. And the reason is because it ends on such a bleak, dark note.
Mhm.
Like, you have these ones like TOB1, the twins, the Village Bride, the Ninth Jedi, that are ending on these high, hopeful, optimistic notes.
Mhm.
And then Akikiri comes along as this fucking like bleak ending that
it seems
I finished
weird.
it. I was like, it almost like downed my entire experience of watching Visions, having that one be left. Because it was beautiful and poetic. And after 2 hours of watching, 2.5 hours of watching, is such a weird note to end on. Such a weird note to end on.
Now that you bring it up, because I honestly I totally forgot about that episode until you just brought it back up.
Most people seem to until it gets brought up. Like, I know
because it was just a weird episode.
It was good,
Mhm.
but it was weird, like the placement of it, like, and I get it, like they wanted to like mirror the duel in the Kurosawa references, but really they should have put Akikiri at the beginning and the duel is the last one, so you end on that high note that is the duel.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. That would have been a better ending.
And it's nothing against Akikiri itself, it's where it's placed in that lineup.
It doesn't feel like it's in the right spot.
Also, in retrospect, talking of character designs, Rupalp's Pod Race, shout out to them. I listened to their Visions episode earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
They had a great discussion that I'm not going to rehash about the design of the Sith character at the end.
Okay.
And how that plays into a lot of unfortunate racial stereotypes in media. That's kind of soured Akikiri a bit for me after thinking about that, because I remember being slightly uncomfortable watching that episode and not really being able to put my finger on why. So
what it was, yeah.
They did a great job of articulating what the problem with some of the design is. So I'm not going to rehash it, but I will say, on the subject of not being super thrilled with Akikiri,
right,
that character design bothered me, and Rupalp's Pod Race did a great job of elaborating to me why I felt that way. I'm not going to rehash now because we've got a limited period of time and they cover it better anyway.
So I'll leave it on this. What do you think moving forward? How do you think they're going to do a second season? Because clearly it was successful enough for them to do another season.
Yes, please. Second season.
So how do you see them doing it?
So here's how I would do it if I were the producer in charge of this. What I would do is I would be watching Ronin very carefully. I'd be keeping my eyes on Ronin. And the reason is because anime is expensive and takes a lot to make, like a lot of money and a lot of time to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if I was going to do a continuation of some of the spinoffs, I would have the second season of Visions be just like the first one. I would have it be a series of 8 or 9 short films. I would have it be done by different studios, maybe even different studios than the ones who did this season. Mm. And then I would also pick some, like the Ninth Jedi, could very easily see getting a manga spinoff. Edge of Balance is fucking fantastic. And if Edge of Balance proves that they can work with manga artists and creators, that could be a good way to continue some of these stories. I'd like to maybe them do a couple of more books. So I would look at it, I would have a second season be completely distinct and let new creators take a crack at their short films. But I would also look into expanded publishing opportunities for maybe some of them where the story could continue. What about you? What would you like to see from a second season?
I think I agree with you. I think I want to see completely brand new, all different stuff. Like I don't want continuations of any of the stories. I want them all to be different stories. I don't mind the same studios coming back and doing another story, but I just don't want them to connect to the one that they already did, if that makes sense. So
right.
If they bring back a studio to do another episode, they can't connect to their old episode, if that makes sense. So like if they're gonna do like, hey, all the people that did, season 1 come back, you just have to do a continuation of your story. Like that's fine, but then like stick with that theme. Otherwise, let new people come in and do all brand new stuff. Like I don't want to play with that game.
My final thought on all of Visions to close this out is shout out Boba Fett drinking boba tea, which is my favorite cutaway gag of anything ever from here on out, and can only happen in this show.
Okay. I love that.
Thank you for listening to Gold Squadron Gays.
Did we forget something? Email us at goldsquadrongays@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at goldsquadgays, and you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Gold Squadron Gays. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Gold Squadron Gays, where we post this podcast as well as exclusive video content.
Please join us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron Gays.